Today, we are going on an absolutely incredible journey across our planet. We're going to jump from these super lush rainforests to wide open grasslands and even to the harshest deserts, all to figure out what really makes these different places tick. So, let's get right into it. So, have you ever stopped to think about this? I mean, why does a rainforest in Brazil look completely different from the prairies in North America or the deserts in Africa? Why isn't our planet just one big, same looking landscape? Well, it really all comes down to two main things: the climate and the kinds of plants that can actually live there, the amount of sunlight, and this is the big one, the amount of water. That dictates everything about the plant life, which then shapes the entire ecosystem. And our first stop on this adventure takes us deep inside one of these tropical forests. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're kicking things off in the world's amazing lush forests. Then, we'll head out into the great open grasslands, and after that, we'll explore some of Earth's most extreme deserts. We'll even meet some of the local wildlife and then, tie it all together. Let's do this. First up on our journey, the world's lush forests. You can think of these as the planet's green lungs, but as we're about to see, not all forests are created equal. It all depends on the climate. So, down in the tropics, it is all about the rain. Evergreen rainforests get absolutely soaked all year long, so trees like mahogany can keep their leaves and stay green constantly. But in monsoon forests, it's a different story. They have a long dry season. So to survive, trees like teak have this amazing trick. They shed their leaves to save water. It's just a brilliant way to adapt. Okay, now we're moving out of the tropics and into the temperate zones. Places with 4 distinct seasons. And we see a really similar pattern. Along mild, rainy coasts, you get these beautiful evergreen forests with lots of pines and firs. But in places with hot summers and cold winters, like the eastern US, you get those classic deciduous forests, where oaks and maples put on that incredible autumn show before dropping their leaves for the winter. Just a couple more quick stops in the forest world. First, the Mediterranean. Think hot, dry summers. The trees here, like olive and fig trees, are super tough and built for it. And then we head way up north to the massive coniferous forests, also called the taiga. These are the real champions of the cold, with needle-leaf trees that are perfectly designed to handle those long, brutal winters. All right, so we're packing our bags and leaving the dense forest behind. As we get less and less rainfall, the trees start to thin out, and the whole world just opens up into our second major environment, the great open grasslands. And you guessed it, just like forests, grasslands come in two main flavors. The tropical savannas are hot pretty much all year, which means you get these super tall grasses and a few trees dotted around. But in temperate grasslands, like prairies and steppes, those cold winters mean a shorter growing season, which leads to shorter grasses and hardly any trees at all. For the last leg of our environmental tour, we are heading into some of the most challenging, most extreme places on the entire planet. These are the places defined by what they're missing, where life has to be incredibly tough just to make it. Now, here's something really important to remember about deserts. They aren't defined by how hot they are, but by how little water they get. It's the extreme dryness that creates these landscapes and forces plants like cacti and thorny bushes to become absolute masters of saving water. And believe it or not, deserts are way more diverse than you might think. Of course, you have the classic hot tropical deserts everyone pictures. But there are also temperate deserts, like the Gobi, which have scorching hot summers but then freezing cold winters. And then you've got the complete opposite, the tundra or polar deserts, where it is so cold the ground is frozen solid year-round and only the toughest little mosses and shrubs can survive. Okay, quick vocabulary break. We've been talking a lot about the plant life, which scientists call the flora. Now it's time to meet the animals, or the fauna. Let's check out how they've managed to adapt to all these different places. All right, how about a little bonus stop on our tour? Think of it like a safari to meet some of the local wildlife. We're going to see firsthand how these animals are perfectly built for the environments we've just visited. As you'd expect, the forests are just bursting with life. In the tropical regions, you find all these amazing tree dwellers like monkeys and sloths, while the temperate forests are home to bigger mammals like bears, wolves, and deer. But out on the savannas, it is a totally different scene. You can just picture it, right? Those vast open spaces are just perfect for huge herds of grazing animals. This is where you find those iconic zebras, giraffes, elephants, and antelopes. And of course, the predators like leopards and hyenas that follow them. Surviving in the desert is all about extreme adaptation. In In the hot deserts, the camel is an absolute master of holding on to water. And then in the freezing cold tundra, reindeer are able to thrive because of their thick fur and all these other amazing adaptations to the bitter cold. It's just incredible how life finds a way. So, we've traveled from the top of the forest canopy all the way to the frozen tundra. We've seen how climate shapes the plants and how the plants and climate together shape animal life. So now let's just take one final step back and look at how all these pieces fit into the big picture. This chart right here basically tells the whole story in one picture. It shows how those three major biomes we've been talking about, forests, grasslands, and deserts, all branch out into these more specific types. Everything from a tropical rainforest to the polar tundra. It's such a great reminder that, really, climate is the architect of almost all life on our planet. We've just seen how life has brilliantly, cleverly adapted to our planet over millions and millions of years. But that leaves us with one last really big question. As our own footprint on the planet grows, how are all of these amazing biomes adapting to us? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this journey.